Why, hello there, lovely one. It's me, Helen the Great, and we're going to go through a grade 12 finance question. Sally buys a house. She asks the bank for a 1,320,000 Rand loan. Sally was required to put down a 12% deposit on the selling price, calculate the selling price of the house. And we have to be careful with this. We know that the loan was for 1 million blah blah blah, but we also know that she's already paid 12% of the house value, which means the loan is for how much? Well, it's for 88% of the selling price. And it's important to write this down because then we can turn it into algebra nice and easily. Let's go skew there. 88% of the selling price, in other words, it's 88% of x times by x is equals to 1320000. So x is equals to that massive number. And I like changing, gone very skew, percentages to decimals. So I'm doing that and I'm bringing up my calculator. Let's type this in. 4 noughts divided by 0.88 gives me a value of 1.5 million Rand. So her house is worth, or at least she paid, 1.5 million Rand for it. Okay, now in terms of mark allocation, we're looking for some kind of calculation that looks like this. So that would be your first mark. It's only out of 2 marks, so the last mark would be for the final answer. If we move across, let's change color for this one. Let's go to purple. The bank charges an interest rate of 9.5% per annum compounded monthly. Okay, so far we have the interest rate and we have the compounding period. On the loan of, okay, we know the loan is that much. The period of the loan is 25 years, so that's also important. Starting 1 month after the loan was granted. In other words, we don't have to do anything funny. We just know that the number of payments is going to be 12 times by 25, monthly and 25 years. Calculate Sally's monthly installments. Because this is a loan, we need to use the present value formula. And let's see if I can find that in a hurry. I did copy it earlier, and let's paste it down. There it is. The present value formula. And now we just plug and play. So let's get our brush out. Our present value is 1320000. We don't know what the installments are, but we can fill in everything in the brackets. Now remember, this is where most of your marks come from. Just writing down what needs to be written, or the calculations that need to be done. Remember, it's to the power of negative n, and the n is the number of payments. And we divide by the interest rate. Everything's going a bit wobbly today. But the math still comes across, doesn't it? Okay, so now to solve for x, we're actually going to take this whole big bracket and divide the other side by it. I don't really have to write that because I have a calculator, and writing all of that is actually going to take too much time. And because maths teachers are reasonable, and we also know calculations quite well, we can see when you've done this calculation just straightforward into your calculator. So rather don't waste time. You've got most of your marks already on the question because you've written down the correct calculations. Remember that as you're typing things into the calculator, you're constantly checking every button that you've pressed. Oh, like for example, it should be times, is actually going in the way you want it to. Otherwise, one button wrong and the whole question is thrown out. and especially with finance questions, because a lot of the answers or the future questions rely on the answers. So there we go. Her monthly installments are 11,532 Rand, and that, okay. So the installment is going to be 11,000, what did we say? 532. That's good numbers. 5, because 3 plus 2 is 5, and we'll round it off to 80 cents. Remember, money, we have 2 decimal places because that's the number of cents. So the next one says, how much interest will Sally pay over the 25-year period? Well, monthly, she is paying that, this one, 532.80 cents. We know that she is making 12 payments every year, so it's pretty easy, isn't it? We're just going to multiply all of those numbers together. The payment times by that and times by that. And this is where I'm slightly sneaky, because I know the previous answer was rounded off. I'm just going to take this answer over here, rather than using the rounded off one, multiply it by 12 and by 25, and get an answer of 3459838. So let's write that. 34598. What was it? 9838,77. 9838, it's going to be 78 when rounded off. There we go. Now if I'd done the rounded off amount, my answer would have been slightly different, but at least this is more accurate. In terms of mark allocations, it's basically 1 for the calculation and 1 for the answer. Let's go back to over here. You've got 4 marks. You're going to have 1 for choosing the right formula, 2 for substituting, and 1 for your answer. But let's go across to this side. Calculate the balance of her loan immediately after the 50th installment. Now this one is quite beautiful, actually. We know that we've got the present value formula. We don't know what the outstanding balance is, but we do know that her monthly installment is 1,1. Let's go back and look at it. 1,153.2,80, and then all of that stuff in brackets all over again, just when you thought you didn't have to write it again. Yep, you have to. Kind of feels like, you've got so much to do, and then you must do this as well, write out things forever. Now this is the interesting part. We do have negative 300 up here, but we've already made 50 payments, so it's actually going to be negative 300 plus 50, and then at the bottom we're dividing by this awful number, and guess what? We plug it all into the calculator, and I'm going to cheat a little over here and just put down the answer. Otherwise it just takes up too much time, and we do have a limited time. So the answer was 1,253,896,38, and your mark allocations would have been there, there, and there, and down here as well. Most of the calculations or the marks come into that calculation. And let's go back to purple. If Sally had paid 15,000 Rand a month, how many years would it have taken her to pay back her loan? So we need to know the number of years. Originally it was 25 years, but now it's not going to be 25 anymore. We still have the same loan amount. Let's write that out. The installments have changed, but we're still going to use the present value formula. Once again, we're writing down all of this 0,095 divided by 12. Oh, it's so skew. And now we've got negative 12, and it would have been times by 25, but now we don't know what it is. So I'm just going to call it n. And all over 0,095 divided by 12, and close the brackets. And this is where we've got to do some fancy mathematics. We shuffle things all over the place. First thing I'm going to get rid of is the 15,000 by moving it over. I want to highlight or isolate the n. So I'm moving as many things as I can over to the other side before, and I'm going to have to use logs to do this. But you must expect logs to come up in a financial maths question. There will be one somewhere hiding. If you haven't found it, then more than likely you've missed it. Oh, darling, dearest, I have gone very skew over here. If only I could be more straight. Okay, so now I've got that being divided at the other side, so I'm not going to round off anything. I'm just going to carry on rewriting stuff, because the less time, or yes, the least number of times I use the calculator, the more accurate my answer will be. I'm taking the negative 1 over at the same time, or 1 over, so that leaves me with negative, oh, I think I've run out of space, so let's just put that down here, negative, and I've got 1 plus 0,095 over 12 to the power of negative 12n. I really don't like the way that looks, so what I'm going to do, at this point, let's just use our calculator and get it out, and we'll make it easier for ourselves. So, 132,000 divided by 15,000, and that's going to be multiplied by, and we've got the fraction again, 0.095 over 12, and then we are subtracting 1, so that is negative 91 over 300, negative 91 over 300, and it's equals to negative 1 plus 0,095 over, oh, there's a 0 missing there, to the power of negative 12 n. You know what? I'm going to multiply both sides by a negative so that I get rid of that. And now I get to play with logarithms, don't I? Let's move down just a little bit over here, and let's rearrange things so that I have my exponent equals to log, and down at the bottom, let's put it in brackets, 1 plus 0,095 over 12, and up here 91 over 300. And at this point I'm going to ask you to just believe me, because I am running out of time, that this is equals to 115, or at least 151,28, which means n is therefore equal to 12,61 years, which of course is a lot less than originally, and we're only paying, what, 3,500 Rand more? So it just shows that it works out better. Well, my lovely one, that's it for now. Much love.